By Joseph S. Nye Jr. Tokyo, the Kremlin is on a roll. Under President Vladimir Putin, Russia has replaced the United States in Syria, continues to intervene in eastern Ukraine, and recently hosted an African summit in Sochi. Appearances, however, can be deceptive. True, Russia retains a vast nuclear arsenal, equal in size to that of the U.S., and it used force effectively against Georgia in 2008 and Ukraine in 2014, provided military assistance to save Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria, and has used cyber means to disrupt U.S. and other elections. But Russia can only be an international spoiler. Behind the adventurism, it is a country in decline. In 1959, the Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev famously boasted that the Soviet Union would overtake the U.S. by 1970 or 1980. Instead, in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, leaving a significantly shrunken Russia, with three-quarters of the USSR's territory, half its population, half its economy, and one-third of its military personnel. Its GDP is only $1.7 trillion, compared to $21 trillion for the U.S. In 1989, the Soviet economy was twice the size of China's. Today, Russia's GDP is one-seventh that of China. Moreover, Russia is heavily dependent on energy exports, with high-tech products accounting for only 11% of its manufactured exports, compared to 19% for the U.S., while language, history, and labor migration provide Russia with some soft power in its near abroad. Few foreigners elsewhere watch Russian films, and Russian universities are not ranked among the top global 100. The political institutions for an effective market economy are largely missing, and robber baron state capitalism lacks the kind of effective regulation that creates trust. The public health system is weak. An average Russian life expectancy, at 72, male and female, is 5 years shorter than in Europe. United Nations demographers project that Russia's population may decline from 145 million today to 121 million by mid-century. Many futures are possible, but at this point, Russia is a one-crop economy, with corrupt institutions and serious demographic and health problems. Former President Dmitry Medvedev laid out plans to surmount them, but little was implemented, and pervasive corruption has made modernization difficult. While Putin has been a successful tactician in restoring Russia's presence on the world stage, he has not been a skillful strategist in addressing the country's long-term problems. One of Putin's successful tactical maneuvers has been an alignment with China. After incurring Western sanctions for his attack on Ukraine, Putin declared China our key strategic partner. In return, President Xi Jinping declared Putin my best friend and colleague. Traditional balance of power politics would predict such a response to U.S. power. In the 1950s, China and the Soviet Union were allied against the U.S. after Nixon's opening to China in 1972. The U.S. and China cooperated to limit Soviet power. That alignment ended with the collapse of the Soviet Union. In 1992, Russia and China declared their relations a constructive partnership, that became a strategic partnership in 1996, and in July 2001 they signed a treaty of friendship and cooperation. They have cooperated closely in the UN Security Council, taken similar positions on international control of the Internet, and have used various diplomatic frameworks such as the BRICS grouping and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization to coordinate positions. They now share non-nuclear military technology and conduct joint exercises. Nonetheless, there are serious obstacles to close-sign a Russian alliance that goes much beyond tactical coordination. Residual mistrust persists. In the 19th century, no country took more land from China than Russia did, and the current demographic situation in the Far East, where Russians number 6 million, and the population on the Chinese side of the border is up to 120 million, is a source of anxiety in Moscow. Russia's economic decline has increased its concern about the rise of China. While trade has increased, investment lags, and Russia ranks only 10th among China's export markets. As The Economist recently reported, Russia worries about becoming the alliance's junior partner, more dependent on China than China is on Russia. According to Feng Yujun of Fudan University, the most important relationship for us is the one with America. We don't want to repeat the mistakes of Stalin and Mao. America, however, must not take comfort in the decline of Russia and treat it like a second-rate power. After all, declining powers tend to be less risk-averse, as was true of Austria-Hungary in 1914. They have less to lose than rising powers. Russia still poses a potential threat to the U.S., largely because it is the one country with enough missiles and nuclear warheads to destroy it. And Russia's relative decline has made it more reluctant to renounce its nuclear status. Even a declining Russia possesses enormous scale, an educated population, skilled scientists and engineers, and vast natural resources. It seems unlikely that Russia will again possess the resources to balance U.S. power in the same way that the Soviet Union did during the 4 decades after World War II. But, because of its residual nuclear strength, its oil and gas, its skills in cyber technology, its proximity to Europe, and the potential of its alliance with China, Russia will have the ability to cause problems for the U.S., and Putin's reliance on populist nationalism provides an incentive. Declining powers merit as much diplomatic attention as rising ones do. At some point after President Donald Trump leaves office, the U.S. will need to develop the serious Russian strategy that it now lacks. Joseph S. Nye Jr., a professor at Harvard, is the author of the forthcoming book Do Morals Matter? Presidents and Foreign Policy from FDR to Trump. Copyright belongs to Project Syndicate. www.project-syndicate.org. Let's block ads. Why?